Booze and boards, boards and booze. Bad guys at large, it's bad news. No beer this time, so we won't lose. We found their lair, they'll pay their dues. The town is saved, so now we booze. Booze and boards, boards and booze. With Mickey and Jeb.
Oh, yeah. What game, Mickey, are we playing today?
Go Joe!
G.I. Joe?
No.
Oh, we don't have those
But
rights.
it's Venom Assault, which kind of looks like
Yep.
G.I. Joe, which we're probably not supposed to say.
You're right.
But I guarantee they were thinking about it when they made
Well,
this game.
what gave that away?
But, yeah, so today's game is Venom Assault, Kickstarter, that Mickey backed, not Jeb.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, it was, it was a little company,
passed me over.
Spyglass Games that I took a chance on. We have a
Cooperative deck building game.
1 to 5 players, 14 and up, 60 minutes, but I was actually looking for the designer, which, ooh, I just messed up the cards. He got a nice, Fantasy Flight Games type of insert in this, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's alright. Game designed by Mike Knight, Jeff Arbo, and Dave Plonise. And if I butchered anything, I'm sorry. Alright, so yeah, so you got right. So like Jeb said, co-op deck builder. I will say that it has it has hints of like Legendary.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I've never played Legendary, so
you played Buffy. It's the same.
I've played Buffy Legendary.
You get a recording of Buffy, and he doesn't know
Every
that
time
he
you say
played
Legendary, I think of that other game that I haven't played.
Ascension?
Yeah, that one.
This guy.
Or Thunderstone, or I don't know if that's
this guy. I don't know. I know everybody watches me and not him, but that's cool.
I did play Legendary Buffy. In fact, we did an episode on it.
We did.
So,
but regular Legendary, as everybody knows, started with all the Marvel characters, etc., etc. It does remind me a little bit of that, with its own nuances, etc., etc. So, what do you got to say?
Oh, like you said, it's kind of the G.I. Joe-ish theme where it's like a bunch of good guys. Like, you're the good guys, there's bad guys. The board is like a map of different locations where you fight bad guys.
Venom.
Right. And the good guys are
Freedom
Squadron. Yeah. And they all have the names like the G.I. Joe names as well.
Kind of. So. Yeah, they definitely a play on that. But it's for an independent publisher or whatever. I thought the quality and the art and stuff, it looks pretty good. One more thing before we get into components. I will say it. Hopefully Jeb gets this up in time. There is a Kickstarter going on right now. The goal is to get it up before this thing ends. However, if we don't, perhaps there's a late backer type thing and you might want to check it out. It is for this. Obviously, this is already out, so it is for the expansion, but you can obviously get the base game. So shout out to check it out on Kickstarter if after we go through this, if it's something that you think you might like.
Gonna try my darndest to get it up in time.
Yeah, as of this recording, there was like 9 or 10 days left.
9 days, I think.
So there's 9 days left,
and I'm going out of town.
Right, and he's going out of town, and so that puts a lot of pressure on to edit real fast, and that's not a fast process, at least not with the cheapo equipment that we have.
And the cheap old editors too.
And the editor's not very good either. But he's a lot better than me because I don't edit at all. I just run my mouth. And he puts up with me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he cuts out all the funny stuff I say about him too. I mean, you only get to see a glimpse. I mean, this stuff is hilarious. Some of it's not appropriate for TV either, so that's okay.
The last few months I've been censoring you so much because you've been cursing like crazy at me. So that's what you guys don't get to hear.
Someday you'll put an outtake reel up.
Yep.
Alright, so we'll come back with components, which will be super, super quick, and then we'll do
Explain gameplay.
and then we will have a 3-player game with Gary joining us, and
we should probably say that the level that we're picking is not the one they recommend as the starter one, just because we think that that's probably what people typically play.
If we feel like we have a relatively good grasp on a game, I know we've said numerous times that we try to show you what it would be like to play a game right out of the box. If it's something that we feel like we get pretty quick, or we actually practice a little bit, then we do try to do something beyond what they recommend for your first game, just because we figure that everybody's already showed you guys that, and hey, why not show something different?
Yeah.
Right. So anyways, yeah, we are going to play something other than the recommended starting scenario.
Alright, so we're back with components for Venom Assault. And
Deck builder, you're going to see cards, and then we'll be done.
Yeah. There are a few other things besides cards, but yes.
There are, because this deck builder does have a pretty cool board, so.
Yep, and that's the first thing that you are looking at right now is the game board that comes with the game. And this consists of like multiple areas that we'll explain everything later, but like there's the mission card area, the Venom support areas up here, your support areas down here.
He doesn't understand what later means. He's just going to explain it to you now.
I'm not going into depth of what they are, but you got some tracks over here, some deck spaces, and then the map of the world.
Explaining it to you now.
No, I didn't explain everything. Okay, I'm taking this away.
Okay, yeah, there's a board. And then another board's bye-bye until setup.
Yep. Alright. So, let's go over the cards.
Alright, so here what he's referring to are Freedom Squadron cards. So why do I have 2 piles? Because these are commandos and recruits, which Jeb just said. These are your starter cards, and I have them separated into decks right now, I believe. So anyways, during setup, you're going to get 4 commandos and 6 recruits.
That's for setup.
I know, I just said, and I said during setup.
And then the rest of the Freedom Squadron cards
are just really neat leaders and tank or vehicles
things
and
you
location,
acquire during
and
the
these
game.
are all going to be in the market.
Right. Next up are the event cards.
Event cards. Those are going to get drawn 1 a turn, and they're going to do stuff to the scenario, or they're missions in this game. And some of them aren't so bad, like all's quiet and nothing happens, and some of them really mess with you bad.
Yep, and if you point some of them out, like the bad ones have the brownish background with the bad guy symbol, and the good guys have
the Freedom
blue
Squadron.
with the Freedom Squadron symbol. Freedom Assault.
Not G.I. Joe symbol, Joe.
Right.
Not Cobra.
Right.
Okay, good. Good.
Alright, next up are the Venom leaders, which these are the very bad guys.
Right.
The big bad guys.
And I think definitely one of the things that Jeb and I liked about this this game is the leaders have, you know, they're pretty neat. They're all very unique.
And some of them have pretty cool abilities.
Right,
that you're
exactly.
like, oh man, that's cool that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and to help the Venom leaders are their support,
right.
The Venom support.
So the support cards are basically like, think of it as the market for, kind of like for the leaders.
Semi-market, semi-modifier, kind of.
The only reason I say market is, I mean, they don't have to buy anything.
Right.
They just get a certain amount each turn, and they contribute to help the cause of, you know, Venom taking over the world. And they do all kinds of different things.
They either buff the leader that they're helping, or they try to mess with you.
Yeah, they either screw with you, or they make it so you can't hit them. They're pretty nasty.
All right, and then lastly are the reward cards.
reward cards. Pretty neat mechanic in the game because once you beat a leader, you get one of the rewards, and the rewards are hidden underneath the leader, so it's not like you draw from the top of the deck once you win. It's like they're permanently set with a leader, so if there's a good reward card under a hard leader, then you're kind of hosed until you beat that guy, which is kind of neat. And here's what they look like.
All right, and that's it for the cards. So now all we got to talk about are some other components.
Yep.
So there are 3 tracker markers.
So this one, the blue one, tracks the defense. The red one tracks the health, and this is all of the of Venom leaders. And then this yellow one tracks the assault track on the board, which you'll see during setup.
There is the commander token.
That's basically just the first player, and it doesn't change throughout the game, so it's just a reminder.
The scientist token.
We haven't seen that yet, but it's specific to a mission.
Ward tokens.
Ward?
Yeah.
The Transformer guys?
No, the W.
The Ws, okay.
I don't know what those are for or what they do.
Yep, we haven't done that mission yet either.
And then there's the Robotron.
The Robos, and oh my gosh, if that doesn't look like the Transformer symbol, I'm like, don't play with the copyright laws too much there, buddy.
All right, there's the dice that come with the game. They're all D6s, and there's a decent amount of them in there.
There are 1, 2,
10,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And the last thing are the missions.
Missions, and you get a nice stack of mission cards in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 regular missions, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 difficult missions. You didn't know what I was doing there, did you?
I did. I was just laughing that only
didn't.
2 were on top when you started.
Did not.
You thought they were all in order.
I did.
All right, and that's everything for components for the game.
See, components for deck builders are so wonderful to record.
Yeah.
They really are. Here's some cards.
Okay, so we're going to go over the setup. The first thing you're going to do is choose your difficulty. And when you do that, you are going to decide how many Venom strikes and all his quiet cards you want to use in your event deck. So it's all listed in the rules. It'll tell you exactly like how many players you use, or how many cards are in the event deck based on the number of players, and then how to adjust for difficulties. Right. So
and if you don't like what they do, you could pretty much do it yourself. If you're familiar with deck builders, think Legendary and the Master Strikes and things like that on how many you put in, and it's the same type of deal. It's like the all quiets are like you get a free turn basically, and the strikes are
helps the bad guys.
Yeah, helps them faster. So.
All right. Next up, the players are going to each get their starting decks. And it is a 10-card deck composed of 6 recruits and 4 commandos. So, like all deck builders, everybody starts with the same deck.
Those are commandos. These are recruits. And that's what you give everybody.
Yep. And then you're going to shuffle it all together to make your personal draw deck. And then you draw 5 cards as a starting hand. Any of the recruits and commandos not used in the game are just removed. They don't come into play any other way. Next, you're going to select your scenario, which you will take the mission cards and decide what you want to play with.
So either play something randomly or play something you haven't played yet because you just started playing the game.
Yep. World in Darkness is the one they recommend for the first play. And then anything with red underlines are more difficult than no red underlines, so that's about the only differences. Here's
World of Darkness, so if you were going to take that, you just remove remove that, put everything back in the box, and here's what they are talking about with the red line. There's a red line under the title, and that means it's a more difficult mission.
Once you have selected your mission, you are going to read the setup section of the mission and locate any specific cards that they tell you that you need for it.
Okay, so for example, World in Darkness. Here, right in the middle is the setup section, and this one says, locate the red, blue, yellow, and green control cubes, and randomly choose 10 other reward cards to make the reward deck. Randomly choose 14 Venom leaders to make the Venom leader deck. And we will actually do that during the setup thing to show you what we mean, but Jeb hasn't talked about all the cards. So I will set this right here for now, and we will come back to that. But as you can see, that's the setup section. Told me exactly what to do.
All right, next you are going to get you're going to build the recruitment deck, which is pretty much taking all of the Freedom Squadron cards and shuffling the deck and putting it on the recruitment deck spot.
Yes. And remember, this does not include commandos and recruits. This is everything except those. So shuffle, shuffle, shuffle.
And then
and don't drop cards, and then put it where it says recruitment deck.
Yep. To the right of it's the retirement pile, which is kind of like cards out of play. And then after you put the deck there, you're going to draw the top 5 cards and put them in the training ground, which is the long box right next to it.
Which is basically your market.
Yep. All right. After that is the Venom support deck. So you will take the Venom support cards and shuffle them and place them on the Venom support deck space of the board, which to the right of it is a Venom support discard pile, and to the left of it is the Venom support area where the cards will be played.
So this area doesn't get filled like the market. The Venom leaders will determine how these work.
Yeah. After that is the event deck, which you would have set it up how the scenario told you to do, and once you do that, you're going to shuffle it and place it on the event deck spot of the board.
Right.
So in this case, the setup for World in Darkness does not have anything specific for the event deck, so Mickey's just going to shuffle it.
But keep in mind that this is the deck that Jeb was talking about that you can adjust the difficulty with.
Yes. Next up is a reward deck, which may also be affected by the setup on the mission card.
Right, which it was in this case. And remember, we are doing just showing you the specific starting mission. This is actually not what we're going to play either. But in this case, setup says, locate red, blue, yellow, and green control cubes. So I pick up the rewards deck, and look at that. Yellow control, red control, green control, and blue control. So I found them.
You will want to take out all of the cards that have the file in the bottom right.
Well, not really, because this one's specific to the mission.
Well,
so
I'm saying the rest of the deck.
Right.
You're going to take all of the ones out.
Right. So what Jeb's talking about is down in the corner here, there's a little file card. That means it's mission specific.
Yep.
And obviously, since it told us to use these cards, it's mission specific to this mission. Now I go through the rewards deck and look for any other cards that have those files in the corner. I know this is a little bit of a pain, but it's similar to Legendary in this aspect.
Just try to keep them separated.
Right, exactly. Try to keep them separated.
Gotta keep them separated.
Because it's worth it, honestly.
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit of a pain, but thematically it makes it so great.
Yeah.
Alright, so these are all other ones that have files in the bottom corner. So I'm going to take those out. Then I have this, and then it says, and then choose 10 other reward cards. So I'm going to shuffle these up, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put the cubes in, and shuffle, shuffle. And this is a really crappy shuffle, 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 but you get the idea. And then put it on the rewards spot in there, and then the other ones are also out of the game for now.
Yep. And once you have the reward cards in the deck in the spot, you're going to place 7 of them on each of the different areas on the board.
1, 2. This is one of the aspects that Jeb and I found pretty cool, is that these rewards get assigned to certain places instead of just being like, oh, you get to draw a reward from a pile.
Yep. Alright, next up after the rewards is the Venom leader cards. And these are also affected by the mission card for setup. And before you even start taking stuff, the first thing you got to do is pull out all of the ones with the gold file, which, as Mickey and I have discussed, there's only one.
And which we didn't really notice before, so it's hard to see, but this has like a goldish bottom, right? Mm-hmm. But the one with the file has like a silver. So it's
the only one like that.
Yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's the only one that has the gray and the file. So for this scenario, this guy comes out.
Yep. And then the rest of them, I think the scenario said shuffle and take 14.
Yep. So the scenario says shuffle them up, 14 random. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14.
The rest are removed from the game.
Rest are at the game. And that goes in that spot right there. That completes the setup for the mission.
You are going to flip a Venom leader and place them on each of the zones. And it's not flip, look at the Venom leader, and then place it somewhere. You should probably do it
in some sort of order or some sort of random, but just like, you don't get to look and be like, oh, well, this guy has a C ability, so I shouldn't use that.
Right.
And if you don't know what we mean by that, this is a C space, this is a land space. They all have what flavor they are, and I covered them up with those. Mm-hmm. So there's Arctic, air, sea, and it. Land.
Oh, there is a land?
Yeah, one land, it looks like. Right? I don't know what I'm doing. Another aspect that Jeb and I thought was pretty cool, because now these individual leaders are protecting whatever reward is underneath them.
Alright, and then after that, you are going to place the markers on the board. So there's 3 markers, and there's 3 tracks, and they are pretty much color-coded, yes, that you can figure out where they go.
So blue little chip goes there, yellow little chip goes on the event tracker, and red little chip goes on the health. Yep. And that was the defense. I know I didn't say that. So
the next thing is all players are going to roll 1 die, and the individual who rolls the highest is the commander and takes the commander token.
So that person would get this.
And it never changes play.
Right. So it's literally just a reminder for who went first. Not sure how you could forget that, but whatever. Yeah. If there was a card in the game that says the commander has to do something, that would be important.
Mm-hmm. Alright, and that's everything for setup.
Okay. So let's jump right into how to play the game, Jeb. Okay. So we're going to start talking about gameplay, but obviously you guys need to know a little bit about the cards in this game. I feel like the cards in this game, they look a little complex when you first look at them, but if you're familiar with some of these mechanics, they won't be. There is a lot going on in this game, but it flows very well. So just try to follow along. If something doesn't make sense, watch a little bit of gameplay. We'll do the best we can to get the basics out there, and I think it should start to click with you guys. Hopefully. That's our goal. That's always our goal. But these cards do have a lot going on with them compared to other deck builders. But it's not. It does. Once you start playing, it doesn't actually feel overwhelming. Would you agree with that, Jeb?
I totally agree with it. All right. So I think we should start with the starter cards that you have.
Okay.
Since there's only 2 of them.
All right. So the starter cards that we have, which hopefully Jeb's going to flash up a big old card so you can see it, or a little card, however, I don't know how that... I don't edit. Jeb is a man. Sometimes I compliment Jeb, so I just did. Alright, so you get Recruit, which hopefully is popping up right now, and I'm going to just describe the parts of the card to you, and we'll get into some more complicated ones later. But this is a Recruit. There's the name of the card. What type of card is it? There's a picture of a soldier, so it's a soldier card. The dog tags represent the cost of the card. The badge, I don't know if that's the right term for it, but the badge in the middle represents the amount of recruit points that it supplies. So basically the middle number is your money, and then the combat value is the guns, okay? And then whatever is down here is the support ability of the card, and whatever's in bold tells you which phase you're able to use that support ability. Okay, so that's a Recruit, and then your other card in your starting deck is the Commander, and it's pretty much exactly the same, except it's slightly different in the fact is that you'll notice that the combat value of the Commando is a 2, and the Recruit is a 0. Otherwise, they're almost exactly the same. The dog tags, which is the cost, is a 2, and the money it generates is a 1, but the combat value is the, I guess I'll say the more important value. When you see how the mechanics work in this game, you'll know why I said that. So anyways, those are the parts of the basic cards that you have in the game. To move forward, there are a couple other cards in the game. So I will show you first, real quick, I'll show you a more complicated soldier. This is somebody that you could actually buy from the market. Notice that his cost is way up. It's a 7. He only provides 1 economy, but his combat value is a 4. And he has a whole bunch, I'm not going to get into this, but he has a whole bunch going on down there with his support. Notice again that it is a soldier, and this guy's name is Predator? I don't know. Okay.
I don't think it's Predatoire.
Shut up, Jeff. Alright, next type of card that you will see quite frequently is a vehicle. A vehicle has the symbol of a tank. This is the Patriot. Cool little plane. Here's the cost. Again, the dog tags. It's a 6. It has an economy of 2. And notice that its combat value is a 0. This is very typical of a vehicle to have a combat value of 0 because the support things that they do are really awesome.
Yeah.
Notice that it has 2 lines and it has a symbol here. I know I'm going really fast, but that symbol is an air symbol. So if this card participates in a battle in the air, it gets this bonus.
Yep.
Alright? And then last but not least, there is locations. Locations don't have any of the economy or combat value because they are basically a permanent that gets set in front of you. They do have a cost. This one happens to be 8. And then they do have whatever they do down here. Interesting part about the locations in this game is they immediately go in front of you when you purchase them as opposed to having to cycle through your deck first. So those are the 3 types of cards as of the base game. Don't know if they're adding anything else, but those are the 3 types of cards that you will see in the game.
Yep.
So next up, we're going to, real quick, we'll show you a Venom leader and the components of that card. So Venom leader is a little bit different. This is El Guapo, and so the first number with the heart is its health. The second number is its defense, and the third number on it with it kind of looks like a little snake or something. Yeah. I guess that's what it's supposed to be because like Venom.
Cobra.
But it's Venom. If this game ever became huge, they would be in so much trouble. But I love it. I love it so much. I really do. It's like, because I used to watch G.I. Joe, and I read the comic book, so it was like, this is awesome. You know, where is Snake Eyes?
Right.
Where is he? And Scarlet. Where are they? Because those are the only two that anybody cared about. Mm-hmm. That's probably not true, but the only two I cared about. Okay, so anyways, and this is a support number. So real quick, basically, the health gets monitored here, the defense gets monitored here, and the support is how many cards that the leader is going to draw for support when you attack him.
And the deck's currently off the screen, but it's up top.
This deck.
Yep.
Sorry.
No.
We only have not to you. Yeah. Sorry to the guys watching. We only have so much room, you know. But if you guys want to give us money, we'd have more room. Well, I don't know if we'd have more room. We do the best we can.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we get the point across.
Okay, so
those. I think the only other types of cards are event and rewards, and those are easy enough where like a reward card has flavor text up top and then an effect at the bottom, and then the event card will have the flavor up top and the effect on the bottom, so it's not too difficult.
So they are pretty self-explanatory. The cards that we just went over are what you're going to be dealing with every single turn, and hopefully that made sense on how you're able to buy things and et cetera, Okay.
So it might be best if we just kind of walk through a turn to show everything you can do.
That's usually what we do, Jeff.
Yeah. So so Mickey is the commander.
I'm the commander. I command Jeb to do whatever I say. He doesn't listen.
Nope. Mutiny.
Yeah. Mutiny.
All right, so
we're not on ship. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. Why do you constantly undermine my jokes?
Okay.
All right. So the game begins with the commander taking his turn. So it starts with the commander's turn. So Mickey's the commander. He already has 5 cards in his hand from setup. So the first thing the commander does is the event phase. And only the commander does this. At the beginning of his turn, they draw 1 card from the event deck, and it becomes the active event card, which there's a space up top for next to the mission.
And it's important to remember that this is only the commander that does this. So it's not like you flop events every single player turn.
Right.
Okay?
Oh, and before you do that, global effects that occur in this phase happen.
Right. Let's pause for a moment and talk about that. Jeb brings up a very, very, very good point. Unlike a lot of, at least in my opinion, and I'm going to guess that Jeb agrees with me, there is probably more to pay attention to in this deck builder than most other games.
Yeah.
Because every time a new character gets put on the board, you need to check to see what their abilities are. It's very, very important. Like, we should have done that as soon as we put these on the board and see if there are any either A, global effects, or B, end of round effects, or whatever it's called. Because those are very important and you don't want to forget about them. I would almost say that it would have been nice to put like some sort of token to put on a person so that visually you would remember to check that at certain times. Or on the card, make it a little bit different, that they had an effect that goes off, because when you get intensely playing and stuff, it's very easy to forget those types of things. So real quick, like if I look at what's out there now, this guy's tactical phase, that doesn't have that, not to worry about. Combat phase, not to worry about. Combat phase, not to worry about. Tactical phase, not to worry about. Global effect right here on El Gapo. So he actually has a global effect, but it doesn't take effect until the tactical phase. Right. So I'm still okay. Tactical phase, and then this last guy is nothing.
He's got a global effect at the bottom.
Only if he's in the sea, which he is. What does he say?
Combat may only occur in sea. So you have to do sea battles first.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. So, right off the bat, this guy here, his name is Sharkbite. He has a global effect because he's actually sitting in the sea. If he was sitting in somewhere else, this wouldn't have take effect. But he says... What?
Because it just says global effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't mean if he's in the sea. It just says combat can only be taken...
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, I even read that wrong. So, this guy, when he's on the board, so we only have 2 sea spots. This spot and this spot. Those are the only places we are allowed to fight until this guy is off the board.
Yep.
So that's why I'm saying that they have a lot of unique aspects in this game that you need to pay attention to. So read all the cards, make sure you understand, and so that global effect we know is in effect right now, but it doesn't affect this part of our turn.
Yep. Alright, so the event phase, the first thing you do is apply global effects, which we look for them. The second thing is to draw 1 card from the event deck and resolve its effect.
Alright, so I'll draw a card, and I will read it to you guys, and this says Countdown to Chameleon. And it says, Venom attempts to use Chameleon to replace an ambassador, blow up the Worldwide Defense Conference, and send a message to the world. However, Blindsight sees through Chameleon's disguise. The commander, that would be this guy, me, the commander may choose a zone, reveal a reward card from that zone face up. So, the cards in the event deck are either good with the freedom symbol or bad with the venom symbol. This one happens to be good, so we put this there. It's a one-time use, but I would discuss with whoever I was playing with. In this case, it's Jeb right now, and if in the 3-person game, we would discuss with Gary too, and say, which one do we want to look at?
My vote is for the most difficult, because if
it's not worth anything, we don't have to deal with him. Exactly. And this guy? This one has 5 support. That's awful.
But that was the one that you discard all Venom support that are not tanks.
So
yeah.
Could be awful, might not be awful.
All right. This one is where you only can get 4s and 5s, but she has no support, so that's fine. This one is look through your discard, and it gets +1/+1 for each person in your discard. That could be pretty bad.
Can they see what you're pointing at there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Jeb thinks this one. I'm going to agree with Jeb because I don't care right now.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So what it means is that we get to look at what's under here, and this one is secret access codes. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's not one of the cubes, which is our mission.
Yep.
So that the only that might be good later on. Now that it's flipped over, we can look at it any time, but it's not affecting us too much at this point.
Right.
And again, I'm not going to read it to you guys because it doesn't matter. All right.
All right. So Mickey, since he's the commander, he did the event phase. So after the event phase is the recruitment phase, and this is where a normal player would just start, except Mickey's commander, so he did the extra step.
All right, so I'm gonna play my hand a little bit differently, just so you guys can see. Okay.
So in the recruitment phase, the first thing you do is apply any global effects that take place in this phase. We've already looked at all the cards on the
field. So our global effect is when I get to the combat phase, all I can do is fight in this spot or this spot.
Yep. And then the next thing is 1 by 1, play all the cards in your hand using any recruitment phase abilities if you choose.
All right. Just as an aside, you're going to have no recruitment phase abilities in your starting hand. Okay? So basically, I'm just going to dump my hand. So what I have is I have a recruit and a recruit and a recruit. No, I don't. I have a recruit and a commando and a commando and a commando. Okay. Now, as we explained before, and I'm playing these this way so you guys so we can keep it on the board for you guys. So at this point, since it's the recruit phase, I add up my recruit values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I have 7 recruit points to buy something from the recruit market.
And you can buy as much as you can with your recruit points. So there's no only buy one thing.
So I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to take Glacier.
I was going to say the costs in here are 8, 7, 6, 6, and 5.
Right.
So Mickey could only buy one anyway.
I have enough for Glacier, so I will take Glacier, and when I purchase a card, it goes into my discard. So we're going to say that this is my discard right here. It goes here. Important note, market does not refill until the end of my turn.
Yep.
So if there's anything else I want to purchase, I have to purchase it from the 4 remaining cards. There is nothing else that I can afford to purchase, obviously, because those are all high cost, and I think I have one point left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one recruitment point left. So at this point, I am done recruiting. This is in my discard pile, and then we move into
the tactical phase.
Okay.
And for the tactical phase, the first thing you do is choose a Venom leader to attack.
Okay. So
if you're not attacking, you skip this phase and just go to retirement phase.
All right. So since the global effect is all I can attack in is the C right now, I'm going to see if I can look at this. Let's see. He gets 3 support. This is 1 support. Yeah. Although Jeb said this guy's pretty bad. And
not early on, but
well, it's not good to start anyways, depending on what it flips. Just because it's a 3 and a 3. Which you'll see in a second, but I'm going to go after her.
Okay.
Or him. You know, it's a stiletto, so it is a girl.
Alright. Next, you are going to adjust the Venom leader health and defense tracks based on the leader you picked.
Alright, so this is the leader I picked, Stiletto. It has a 3 health, so I put that on 3. It has a 3 defense, so I put that at 3.
Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is apply any of the Venom leader's abilities and then global effects that take place during the tactical phase.
Okay.
So Mickey had chosen...
I chose that, and so it has a tactical phase. It says look through your discard pile and give Stiletto +1 health and +1 defense for every soldier in the discard pile, but it's my first turn, so I have no discard pile. Oh, no, I do, because I bought somebody. So I have a +1 and a +1.
Yep. And what's her other thing? Double all gun bonuses given by freedom support vehicles in combat. So she kind of like boosts herself, but then also kind of helps you. But since Mickey doesn't have any tanks, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, I have no support vehicles.
Then you are going to choose a combat leader and freedom support cards and allocate combat dice.
Okay.
So you choose these from the cards you played this turn.
Right. And this is another really unique part of this game that's, in my opinion, very cool. So now I have to look at my cards and I have to select one of these cards to be a leader. Keep in mind, whoever I select to be a leader is not going to get whatever their support ability is. All they're going to get is their combat value.
Also, if you use their ability already, like in the recruitment phase, if they have an ability, you can't pick that person.
Them as a leader. Exactly.
And you cannot pick vehicles as leaders.
Exactly. Or, well...
The buildings
The buildings have to be placed immediately, so that's not very much of a question since they don't cycle through your deck. So I will pick a commando.
Alright.
Or if I can find a commando. Here it is. Alright. So all these guys are in the back row. This is basically, if this player was playing this way, that's the way that it would look. And so now you would assign the dice. And this is very important. Hopefully we explain this well to you because this is one of the more unique parts of the game. So I look at my leader and I look at their combat value. And he has a combat value of 2, okay? So I put 2 dice on him.
Yep.
Then I look down here. These guys are... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, their guns are completely ignored.
Right, exactly. Yep. So all these guys get is if they have a tactical support ability, which all of them do. But what Jeb just said is the most important part to remember. This combat value is 100% only for the leader.
Yep.
So the leader gets 2 dice. And then, but I look down here and my commando tactical phase gets +1 combat. So that means he gets a dice.
So his effect is what's providing the dice,
right.
not...
Exactly. And this guy has a tactical phase. Gets +1 combat.
Yep.
Same with the recruits. Tactical phase, +1 combat. Tactical phase, +1 combat. Notice on the recruit guys, they have a 0 combat inherently though. So if I chose them as a leader, so just for pretend sake, if this guy was my leader, maybe because I had nothing else and I got all recruits, no die.
And that dude in the back only has 1.
And that's all, the guy in the back only has 1.
So how you pick your commander will make a difference.
Right. Other important thing is to remember is you don't have to put people in the battle if you don't want to.
Right.
They can sit it out. So far in the games that Jeb and I have played, we haven't seen where it benefits a lot, but we have seen where it could make a difference. We've just been really willing to risk it.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to switch this back real quick, put the commander back up, put the recruit back here, add the die back, and put that there. So that's the tactical phase for me.
The next thing you're going to do is draw and place Venom support cards equal to the Venom's leader's support value.
Alright, so I look at the support value, which is the last number on the leader card, and it's a 1. So I flip over 1 card of support, and oh great, it's a tactical phase, imagine that.
If it's multiple cards that are flipped, you usually put them far to the left and then resolve them left to right, but since it's only 1, it doesn't matter. The next thing you do is look at your freedom support guys, and if they have any abilities, they would trigger, but since all of his is basic, people, all they already did is provide their dice support, so they don't have
we already have them on there.
Yep. And then the last thing in this phase is from left to right, apply any of the Venom support abilities.
Right. So its tactical support phase is to take away 1 support soldier.
Yep.
So I lose a soldier, and I'm not obviously not going to lose my commando soldier because that'd be dumb.
Well,
That'd
I think it said support.
Oh,
already.
yeah, it does say.
Yeah.
Does it say support?
Yep.
Yes, it does. So it couldn't be the leader anyways.
All right. And then since all of the Venom support have been resolved, that is the end of the tactical phase.
All right.
So now we get to start the combat phase, which is kind of where all the action is going to happen.
Okay, so one of the first things that you do is you see if you can if the combat's even plausible for you to win. And the way you do that is you look at the number of dice that you're going to get to roll. So I have 5 dice I'm going to get to roll. I look at the health, and it's a 4. So yes, I can I can potentially hit it because so the combat in this game is an all or nothing type of thing. So real quick, we'll tell you how this works. So the health is basically how many hits you need to defeat that leader, okay? And the defense, which happens to be a 4 in this case, is what you need on the die for it to be a success.
Or higher.
Or higher,
Yep.
Correct. So, if that didn't make any sense, what I'm saying is that I have to have at least 4 die, which I do. I have 5 that I'm going to get to roll. And when I roll those 4 plus die, I'm going to have to get a 4 or better on at least 4 of them for it to be a successful defeat.
Yep. And
Okay?
we'll show you how that all works
Right.
in an example. So, Mickey, as he said, has enough dice to be able to perform the combat. So the first thing he's going to do is roll all of his dice.
And like I said, I'm looking for a 4 or better.
All right.
And I whiffed.
All right. Well, the next thing before you start doing anything
All right.
is apply any Venom Leader's abilities that take place in the combat phase, which she doesn't have any.
Okay, so I rolled my die, even though I know that it sucks right now. The way that it would resolve is here's my die. Check to see if the leader has any combat abilities.
Yep.
Okay?
She doesn't.
If they did, they would go off right now.
Yep. And then after that, you're going to check your support dudes. If they have any
combat abilities, they would go off right now.
Mickey doesn't.
No.
And then the last thing you check is the Venom support. If they have abilities that go off.
During combat, they would go off right now.
Right. So once we checked all that stuff, now we compare all the combat dice against the Venom leader's health and defense tracks.
Alright, so the 6 is a success, the 5 is a success, 3 is a failure, 2 is a failure, 2 is a failure. I needed 4 to defeat her. I didn't. As an example of some of the things that didn't happen during this, some of these support things could have made me re-roll successes.
Yep.
Multiple times, too.
Yeah.
It could have been like re-roll 2 successes, re-roll all successes twice, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of things, so make sure that you follow what we just said. When you watch us play the game, we will move faster than...
We'll try to do it as best as we can.
But it's one of those things where it doesn't happen every single time, but it's important to remember what you need to check for. Like, once you scan the board to see if there's any global abilities, and there's not, you're just going to skip over all of that.
Yep.
Okay? So, it's one of those games where you can get complacent. Don't get over complacent.
Right.
Alright, so I whiffed. So all these cards get discarded, and she survives, unfortunately.
And then you would also check to see if there were any abilities that take place in the event of a success or failure.
Right.
If Mickey, however, had won, so say he was able to do the 4 hits to defeat her, he would get to take her card and place it in his victory
pile.
zone. And then he would reveal the reward card, but this one just happens to be face up.
Happens to be face up, but then I would get to do whatever this said.
And sometimes it's like immediate, but sometimes it's like once per game you get this effect.
So you can hold it into when the best opportunity to use it is. So I would take this, and this actually is a once per game ability. So I would put this over in, on my side of the table. And that would be how we resolved a victory. Even though I didn't win, we're just showing you how it happens if you do.
Okay, and that concludes the combat phase. So the next thing is the retirement phase. And Mickey got a little too fast over there. You could have chosen to retire one of the cards that was currently in play. Okay. So before you discard...
I like to throw them in the discard, and
it's something everybody who plays deck builders is used to.
It is too fast. It'd be pretty easy to remember that I threw these and not the bot one, so I couldn't retire that. This is another very, very unique aspect of this game, is that right now, like Jeb said, I can choose to retire somebody if I want. So I probably wouldn't do it very first turn, but let's say it was the second or third turn. I'm going to take a recruit, and basically I can call my deck. Jeb and I like to, for the starter cards, we like to put them to the side, or at least off to the side of the retirement pile, so they don't get mixed in with all the other regular recruiting cards from down here. You guys can do whatever you want, but there is a retirement pile.
One thing to note is that they technically are in the retirement pile because some cards reference it.
Yes.
And those would technically be in. We just kind of separate them for ease.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, in my case, you can't see it, but I put it above where it says retirement pile so that it's easy to sort at the end of the game.
All right. So that's the end of the retirement phase. So the last thing is the end of turn phase. So doing this in order. The first thing is to apply any global effects that take place during the end phase.
There aren't any.
Alright, discard all used Venom support cards and reset the Venom leader tracks.
So I'm taking that off and I'm putting it in the discard pile right by the Venom support.
Yep. And then their health and defense go back to the ones.
Yep.
Alright, refill any empty zones with a reward card and a Venom leader.
So new reward card face down, and then a new leader face up.
And then this is probably where everybody wants to read it just to get prepared if there is a global effect or whatever.
Yep.
Then you will refill the training ground to 5 cards. So Mickey had purchased 1, so only 1 gets refilled. And then you discard all cards you have in play and draw 5 cards.
Which is where Jeb said I jumped the gun, which I actually did. But again, once you're used to playing, that won't be a big deal, but you need to be aware of when you can do things.
Yep. All right. So that's the end of a turn. So after Mickey went, say if I was next, I would do everything that he just did, except I do not draw an event. We keep that event card in play until it gets back to Mickey.
Right.
Mostly everything's covered. The only thing we didn't talk about was this one. So if Mickey had drawn that event card at the beginning of his turn, he would discard any current event one to the discard, and then reading that one, this is a special one.
This is called Venom Strikes, and this is the one that moves the yellow marker. So basically this goes up 1, and then you read whatever level 1 is on the mission card, and you apply all the effects of it. In this case, it says Venom has activated the red control cube, and if you remember when we read this, the setup to you, there's cubes throughout the rewards, and I don't think we read you the whole mission, but your goal is to find all 4 cubes. Okay, so Venom has activated the red control cube. This reward card no longer provides its bonus to players. It is still worth the victory points for the player who captured it. Okay, so basically Venom has turned off the power of the red cube, so even though you still need to find it, when you find it, you don't get diddly except the victory points.
And if you already have it, you no longer get the effect.
You're right. It's a global effect. Tactical phase reduce the Venom leader's thing, so it does turn. It just turns it off.
We would have been so good.
I know, right? So, anyways, like Jeb just said, it turns it off. So any abilities that, if you were holding it and it turned it off, you're not getting it anymore. If it had an effect that was in play, now it's gone.
Yep.
All right. So. So yeah, that's Venom Strike. The other events that you didn't see are basically a benefit to Venom instead of you. So you saw a Freedom Squad benefit, you saw a movement of the event track, and then the other cards in the deck.
Some will help the heroes, some will be neutral, some will help the...
And this one actually says Venom on top of it, so, you know, can't be anything good coming from Venom.
Yep. And the way the game plays is you just keep going turn after turn until either you win or you lose. Losing is getting the event track to 5 in most, I think, if not all of the missions. And then the win is what's written on the mission card.
Right.
And I believe it is the instant you fulfill that condition, you win.
Yes.
So you don't have to finish.
Right, you don't have to finish anything. It's once you've met it, you win.
Yep. So.
All right. So there you go. That's basically pretty much how you play this game. I'll reiterate the fact is that, in my personal opinion, some of these cards are a little bit intimidating looking. If you have a little bit of deck building experience, it's not bad at all. If you have no deck building experience, it might take you a little bit, but I think it'll click relatively fast.
And my recommendation is, before you even start, like, people taking turns, is everybody should look at all the cards and get a feel of what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Because if you're doing that in the middle of the game and you realize that an effect has been going off the whole time and you messed it up, then it's
especially with the fact is that they have the global events in this game. And I'm not talking about the global events that you pick here. I'm talking about the global events that end up happening with the leaders and stuff. Because if you just deal this stuff out and you forget to look at this guy that we showed you earlier with the C, you could play 2 turns and then all of a sudden somebody goes to attack him and they read the card and they go, crap, for 2 turns we weren't allowed to do anything except attack him and whoever's in this spot.
Yeah.
Like on my turn, for instance, I went after the one that was in here because I was able to, but I didn't mitigate his ability.
Right.
Like, it was like, okay, I might be able to beat her, and that's not a bad thing, especially when you're searching for the cubes in this scenario, but if I would have gone after him, I might have had a chance to clear the global ability.
And speaking of which, we actually messed up.
Uh-oh.
Because El Guapo has a global effect that takes place during the tactical phase that says when you fight anybody that's not him, the leader loses 2 guns. So that's something we missed.
Right? And that is a perfect example and why we do these videos of things that you could mess up on.
Yep, because if we had caught that, Mickey would have only been able to roll
4 die. And I still would have whiffed, but I still would have been able to roll.
There was if other stuff happened, there would have been a chance he couldn't have even done a battle.
Right.
So.
Right, and that's I actually think they talk about that in a different section of the rule book, which is, like I said, I feel like the rule book could be a little bit better, but there is a check to see, like, basically it's like, do you have enough die to equal the health? If you don't have enough die to equal the health, then you just lose and go on to the next person, and at the beginning of the game, that's very easy to happen. And at the beginning of the game, it's very easy not to be able to get a success because some of these leaders are pretty tough. And I'm glad that Jeb caught that because I feel like that's what we try to do in our videos. As weird as this sounds, sometimes when we're playing a new game, we try not to make it perfect because we feel like if you see the easy mistake to make, hopefully it drills into your head so you don't make it. Whereas when something comes along that's perfect, it's like then you don't have it drilled into your head what the mistake might be that you make. And so that was actually a very good mistake that Jeb caught. I would have had 2 extra die.
2 less die.
I know, 2 less die, I meant.
Yep.
I would have taken off 2 extra die.
Actually, you lost one of your dudes, so you rolled 5 dice. So losing 2
that would have
3, which is
me.
You couldn't have even battled.
Couldn't even have battled.
But
which it didn't make a difference in this case. And hopefully if you guys were to play that and before the next turn somebody caught it, you would have been able to go, oh, okay, can we rewind that? Oh, okay, he wouldn't have won anyways. Oh, okay, it didn't make a difference. And hopefully that's how it goes. As a matter of fact, I think during when we played one of the games that I don't remember if it's the recorded game or if it was the one that we were learning, we made a couple mistakes that didn't affect anything. We sat there for a second and thought about it, and we were like, oh, okay, I lost anyway, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
The problem would be is if you won and you go back and found out that you had 1 less die.
Yeah.
Then you have a problem.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the basic mechanics of the game, and hopefully that got you a little excited about it because I feel like it is enough different from other things that you've seen that maybe you want to give this a try or at least watch us play a 3-player game with a random mission.
Yeah.